Have you ever wondered why content creators are so afraid of music copyright? How many times have you seen a YouTuber pause a game to turn off the radio, or a streamer fleeing a place with background music just to avoid the dreaded demonetization? Music copyright isn't just a boring rule. It's a system that was born more than 300 years ago, transformed with each technological revolution, and today controls how we listen to, share, and experience music. But where did it really come from? And how did we go from paper sheet music to streamers rushing to mute a song on Twitch? That's the story I'm going to tell you. Music has always accompanied human beings. We sing, we dance, we compose. But for centuries, no one thought about protecting authorship. A composer could write a piece, but another could simply copy the score, sell it, and take the money. Then in 1710, Queen Anne's Act appeared in England. It was the first copyright law, but it focused on books, not music. So musicians were still unprotected, but throughout the 19th century, music began to circulate in a different way. It was no longer just someone playing in a room. Thanks to the Industrial Revolution, printing sheet music became cheaper and was no longer a privilege reserved for the wealthy. And composers were once again left with nothing. Then came the idea of extending copyright to music as well. And in 1886, the Berne Convention was signed, an international treaty that changed everything. For the first time, countries agreed that artistic works, books, paintings, and also music should be protected worldwide. Now, if you were a composer, you had legal backing in several countries. But of course, technology never stands still. The phonograph arrived, then records, then radio, and once again a problem arose. Your song could be heard all over the world, but you, as the artist, received nothing. That's when rights management societies were born. ASCAP in the United States, SGAE in Spain, SACM in Mexico, and many more. They were responsible for collecting royalties every time your music was played on the radio, at a concert, or in a movie theater. The system seemed stable, but then came the 20th century and with it, an avalanche of changes. First tapes, then cassettes, then CDs, and people kept finding new ways to copy music at home. Record labels were concerned, but they managed to survive until the internet arrived. In the late 1990s, Napster appeared. It was a revolutionary program. Suddenly, anyone could share thousands of songs in MP3 format, free of charge, with anyone in the world. For fans, it was like magic. But for artists and record labels, it was a nightmare. And that's where Metallica comes in, led by drummer Lars Ulrich. In 2000, Metallica discovered that their song I Disappear was circulating on Napster before its official release. They said, "This isn't right." More specifically, Lars Ulrich said, "I got a call from our office the next day and they told me this was traced back to something called Napster." To which Lars ended with, "Well, they screwed us. We'll screw them." And they sued Napster. The trial was an earthquake. On one side, millions of fans happy with free music. On the other, artists saying, "We're losing our jobs, our investment, our livelihood." But while the giants of pop and rock claimed losses, there were artists who saw the phenomenon differently. Radiohead, for example, didn't mind when their album Kid A was leaked on Napster weeks before its release. Tom York even said that Napster rekindled enthusiasm for music in a way that the industry had long forgotten. For some musicians, the important thing was not immediate sales, but that the music reached more ears, even if it was free. And in the end, Napster lost. It had to shut down. But the industry understood something deeper. Copyright wasn't enough in the digital age. The business model had to be reinvented, and so a new era was born.
Wait, have you subscribed yet? You're still on time to become part of the most curious community.
First, in 2003, iTunes appeared. You no longer downloaded free music of dubious quality. Now you could legally purchase high-quality digital songs through a system that actually paid the artists. Then, in the late 2000s, the real revolution arrived. Streaming. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. Now you don't buy songs anymore, you pay a subscription or watch ads, and you get access to an infinite catalog. Music ceased to be a physical product and became a service. Today, copyright remains the foundation that keeps this whole machine running. Every time you press play on Spotify, every time you watch a video clip on YouTube, there are contracts, licenses, and royalties in motion. But of course, it's not perfect. Many musicians complain that royalties on streaming platforms are very low, so the debate continues. How do we balance the free access that the public loves with fair compensation for those who create the music? Copyright was born because musicians needed protection from copying. It was strengthened by treaties such as the Berne Convention. It survived radio, movies, records, and CDs. And when the internet put it on the ropes, it reinvented itself with iTunes and then Spotify. Although it's a nightmare for content creators to have to keep track of thousands of songs and know which ones are copyrighted and which ones aren't, for artists and record labels, it's a way to protect their work. We'd love to hear your opinion, so leave it in the comments and let's open the debate.